Hey guys, my name is Nate. Welcome back to the channel here. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can go about investing in Vanguard, or invest using the Vanguard kind of system, and kind of go over a little bit of what I've learned and just kind of walk you through kind of the workflow. If you're looking to get started with Vanguard, whether you've never invested any money whatsoever, or if you've only invested maybe with a different brokerage firm and you're kind of looking at possibly moving over to Vanguard, then this will also be helpful for you as well. Before we get started, hey, make sure please hit that subscribe button down below. We're a new channel here trying to take off, and definitely subscribing and hitting that like and sharing it with someone would definitely help us grow for sure. Also, Vanguard, if you haven't heard of Vanguard before, it is a investing brokerage firm. It's been around since the 70s when Jack Bogle kind of invented the index fund and kind of opened Vanguard and everything. And we'll kind of talk about what an index fund is shortly. But it is, they just recently in the last couple of weeks actually had one of their funds, the total stock market index fund that kind of tracks the entire stock market, actually eclipsed the 1 trillion, equity holdings. So all the asset class, that they have in there, is the first fund to actually reach that amount. So there's definitely a lot of people and a lot of, money within that funds, and it's definitely been around for quite some time at this point. Okay, so we're just going to jump in the computer over here and kind of walk through some of the things that, like I said, if you're really getting started with Vanguard. So if you jump here, right, and you can kind of go to the home screen here, right, so we're actually on the, the personal investor account here that we've selected previously. But if you're looking for any type of other things they have as well, you can kind of see here they have, retirement plan participants and other things there. But for most people looking to invest a little bit of money in Vanguard, this would be, the personal investor site is where you're going to start and where you're going to kind of continue with for a while for sure. So if you're kind of looking here, they have just their home screen here. They have their accounts where if you're going to set up an account. Also here, investing, they have a lot of talking about the different products they offer with mutual funds slash, index funds is another thing within that. And a mutual fund, if you're not aware, is basically buying a whole bunch of companies under one fund. So instead of picking individual stocks such as Apple or Tesla, or even a smaller company stocks as well, you kind of buy like a Vanguard total stock market fund like we just talked about in the opening, and that kind of buys you just a little bit of each of those holdings, and then some are weighted more. We'll kind of see a few funds here as examples, and that's kind of what you're doing when you're buying a mutual fund or an index fund, which is kind of the bread and butter of the Vanguard company for sure. And also with here, they have different types that you can pick as well. You're going to pick whether you want an IRA, which is the, like a retirement plan that's, non-taxable, or you have just normal individual accounts. Also, they also offer things such as a 529 college plan. And then also, if you're looking to move over from a different brokerage firm or from a previous job 401k, you can actually roll it over right here or transfer money right here. And then also, they have a lot of good things like Vanguard. They have a lot of different things you can read on, goals if you're going to set up things, or also education. A lot of different things to choose from there. And then also, they kind of talk about the different costs that they'll be associated with them managing your funds here on Vanguard. And underneath one of these, you can obviously kind of see that, if you want to open an account, you can start right here. So let's say once you have your account open, you're kind of looking what to do. You can kind of look here. And usually I like to show kind of more into the mutual funds here. And the good thing about Vanguard is that it can be something done totally online, buying funds, funding your account and everything, and then investing. But they also have options to actually speak with live, call them up and actually talk to someone kind of like as a financial advisor standpoint, which, I'm not a financial advisor, so definitely, any of these funds I'm talking about, make sure that you do your own due diligence and your own research prior to investing in any of these funds. Okay, but this all here, and they talk about here, here's explore mutual funds, and they kind of will show you why you should pick them, right? And, less risk and more diversification. That's what we talked about. I'm really a big fan of diversifying my money out, and definitely, low cost index funds, which is the next thing here. Low cost, and it talks about no fund and expense, right? No load fund basically means that you're not going to be paying money in the form of a commission up front. Normally if you go to an advisor, one type of advisor you would go to would be someone that would charge some type of commission up front, and it'd be kind of called a loaded fund. And also, expense ratio basically is how much money is needed to manage a fund that you're going to be paying on a yearly basis. And so for Vanguard, especially with their index funds, they're not actively managed by a single person. They more follow the index and just follow the stock market. And so therefore, because of that, they're able to charge a lot less, which means more money back into your pocket, right? And then we talked about, you can buy and sell on here as needed. And there's a lot of good things to choose from there. So talking about, we just talked about some of their funds, right? We talked about here. So if you're looking, for one of their mutual funds, or you can actually type in one in the search bar, or you can kind of search their investing tab there, right? So if you're choosing a mutual fund, right, you'll kind of see here, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, VTSAX, and some of the things we talked about here. Now with some funds, you have to look for a few things. I'm looking always here at the expense ratio, right? So that's very important. We talked about the expense here. So 0.04% is, really good. So, if that's saying that if you had $1,000, 0.04%, less than 1% of that is how much you would pay in fees for that, which is very, very good. A lot of them will charge, 1 to 3% of your money, which is obviously a lot more, especially as you start to get a larger portfolio every year. Something important here, so for the actual one, since it is the Admiral Share Fund, this is a $3,000 minimum investment. That is one of the downfalls, of certain funds in Vanguard. It is, they do have a higher investment price to start out with. Now they do have other ones on here that show, I think it's 1,000 and maybe a little less, and we'll kind of look at those here. But all of these will kind of look the same though. They have a summary here, and then they have, like I said, what kind of you're investing in, domestic, which is more, US based, less international companies. And then as you scroll through here, they also, you can look at the price and performance on this tab here, and they're going to kind of show you, hey, over, this is pricing if you're buying the prices, but even more so, this is really important here. You can kind of look at the kind of over the last year, right? So investing, I'm a big believer in mid to long-term investing. I don't do a lot of short-term investing, but they can show you, from a year. And I like that with Vanguard. They don't play a lot of like, here's what it's looking at over the past day or week or month, which you can look up, you can find it here at certain places, or you can go on to Yahoo Finance and kind of look up that fund to get more info. But on there, I like their website because it kind of just shows you by a year, which is the minimum I would kind of look out, right? So they can kind of show you how this fund is going and how it's gone. Basically if you had put 10K in there, what it would have looked like over the last year, right? So you'd be up about $2,000 over the last year, and then they show you 3. Same here, you can follow it, 5, and then basically over the last 10 years, you can see, hey, if you put 10K in there, you'd be looking at about $36,000. Not a bad day at all, right? And then if you kind of look at it, it'll kind of show you, if you're looking at percentages, it'll show you over the last year, 3, 5, and once again 10. And then this fund's been around since the year 2000. So since the year 2000, it's been here about 7.82%. Obviously, you can see it's been great the last 10 years. And then this is mainly taken in like 2008 when they had obviously our big market crash at that time, and that's probably bringing those numbers down. And then they'll kind of show you, if you keep going, you'll actually see, how much it is and how much it is with taxes, how much is, so you can kind of get a good, and I like them because they kind of update you really on what you can really see your percentages are going to be. And then if you're wanting to look more, continue with the tabs across here, they talk a little bit about, they'll show you what it is, right? Large, medium, and small market capitalization. So large in the blend here is like, you have growth stocks, which are companies that are growing, and then you have value stocks that are some companies that are more stable, and usually older companies that have been around for quite some time, and all of these are larger companies. So what this is saying here, that this is a blend of value and growth stocks together, and that they're all roughly large market capitalization companies, which we'll see here in a second, but those are your big names, name brands that you would know all about. And so it shows here, you can see we talked about a lot of different stocks is what it's going to happen. Well, right here, 3,586 is what is the total stock market number of stocks. So that's a lot, and that really helps you diversify. And hey, this is the stock we were talking about, right? They're currently totaling up $1 trillion, which is just crazy to think, right? And then if you go down here, it will show you kind of what the companies that it's investing in, kind of the category of the industries, right? So we know that, hey, 26% of this is made up of technology, you know, and then utilities. So you can kind of, depending on how you like to invest, you can get a good breakdown there. And then here, you know, right, we talked about here, you know, the 10 largest holdings, right? So those companies we talked about: Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, which is, you know, Google, all the way down to, you know, Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett, you know, Tesla, the new big one on the block. And then we'll kind of show you, hey, these 10 holdings hold 23% of the total net assets. So those are probably some good companies that you would want to track potentially individually to kind of see how they're doing. And then if you keep going down, you know, they're going to show you just a bunch of different things. You know, talk about risk and things like that. And then they do have fund managers. While they're not actively managed in this normal sense, they're managed basically, you know, more of an algorithm. They can follow the stocks, follow the stock market versus just picking individual stocks. These are the actual fund managers that have been managing this fund, but their jobs are way different than a normal stock broker that's going to be tracking and picking mutual funds as an active manager. Then here, you know, we talked about fees and minimums, you know, expenses, right? So total stock market index fund, what we talked about, is 0.04%. And then right here, it also talks about, you know, this is compared to the average of 90%. And I like Vanguard because it'll show you here, once again, you know, the average, if you put 10K in over 10 years, this person that's using about what this would be is going to be paying about $2,000 in fees. You know, you're looking at paying, you know, less than $100 over a 10-year period with that 10K. Obviously, it's going to be more if you invest more, but obviously substantially less. And then they even show you here, you know, there is no purchase fee, redemption fee, 12B1 fee, which are all usually part of loaded funds, which is great not to have those. And then also it kind of shows you here, you know, there's a minimal investment here and then an additional investment after that minimal investment of $3,000. And then also great here, they can kind of show you that, you know, they do have quarterly dividends that are paid out via this, if you buy into this total stock market fund, index fund, and it'll show you here what the previous distribution type were, you know, so basically per share, how much, you know, they paid 38 cents per share that you owned in dividends for this, you know, over the last every quarter, right? Since, you know, it goes back to 2019 showing that. And then finally, I even like this because you can see, hey, is there any recent news about this? Now, I would not take this very literally because, as I showed you here, you know, this is kind of the talking about right here, hey, this is, you know, just from a couple weeks ago in December, and this obviously right here, and, you know, obviously there's a story right there, pretty big story. So I would not follow that one for a grain of salt, but it is a, you know, nice place to look if you're looking at all these, kind of a one-stop shop here. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is if you're going to be buying and what kind of when you're looking for some of the things you need to look for. You know, definitely look for that expense ratio. Look for long track record. So don't just look at, you know, months and even like a year, because that year one going back was a little bit, you know, not the greatest. But definitely look kind of over the last 5 to 10 years, especially when you're looking at index funds. And I would definitely have a good portion of your portfolio potentially in that. That's definitely that. And, you know, real estate are usually the two biggest things, and I would say the most safest that are going to still grow. So definitely do that. Check that out. And once again, hey, thanks for joining this video. And we'll see you in the next video all about, you know, talking about the stock market each and every day. Thanks.